All right. Avery, people get my recording of the shir? Does that come in? Yeah,
It comes in.
Never comes in.
Yeah.
People post done there more or not right now?
I did today.
Yeah?
Yeah. I did.
People text? Okay.
Usually when one person does,
Reminds everyone to do it. Listen, the one that does it first gets everyone going. Yeah.
What did I do first?
Done. Some duns.
Done?
Done. Bunch of duns. Okay, we're gonna chazer from Akum Doimel Amago. Curved like a sickle. Seems like a new phrase. Curved like a sickle. Smooth like a sickle. I'm a rubber. No, I'm sorry. We did that yesterday. What were we up to? Yeah, we ended up doing that. Sorry. I'm a rubber. They only said it's a problem when it's in front of them. When the bend is towards the leaves. If it's backwards to the spine, that's its natural creation and it's okay. Amr Nachman, let's say it's bent to the sides. It's like it's bending towards the leaves, the front, which makes it possible. Some say it's like it's bending backwards to the spine, which should make it kosher. Rabbi says another law. I love it. If you have a lulav that there's one row of leaves on one side of the spine and the other side is empty, balmumu upasel. It's no good. Mishnah said difference to olav if the leaves are torn and then someone tied it back on, it's pasel. And also said nifridu olav if the leaves are separated, that's kosher. And the Gemara explains. Amar Apapa says Apapa, what's the difference to? Torn. The aviki chufio is like a broom. You took leaves of and you put it onto a wood pole, which is a broom. So to this lulav, you're just tying leaves onto the shed. There's like a broom. It's no good. Nifridu, what does that mean? The iprude means it's just separate, but it's still connected. If the middle twin leaf split, what's the halacha? Tashma ben Yerai Amar Rabbi Yechon Amar Yishub ben Levi. He said nitlu hatiyam is if the twin middle leaf was removed, pasal, the lulav was pasal. That's what he said. Oh, my love is a nod who I did nechalka, so do it splits. So you see a raya that nechalka is pasal. Gemara says, no, there's no raya from there. Nitla shani, if it's removed, is completely different. The chasala, because then it's lacking, while if it's split, it's still there, it just split. Ikidami, some say a different version. Amr Bechin, Amr Shimon Levi, he actually addressed this question and he said, nechalka temis, if the middle twin leaf split, nasa kamisha nitla hatemis is like the temis was removed, upasa the lulav is no good. We're up to this right here, Yehuda Eimer. So just to look back at the Mishnah, what is going on? Chav Tes Amabez. So the Mishnah said, we had the Nifridu Alav, we just ended off at that. The leaves were separated, it's kosher. On that, Rabbi Yehuda Eimer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Yagdenu Momala. You should tie it again on top. So just to look at a picture, just so you get a feeling of the Yehuda. Take a look at page Lamed Vav in your pictures. Page Lamed Vav. I'm sorry, page Lamed Zayin. Page Lamed Zayin. And it is picture Yud. Picture Yud. So you have, the leaves are starting to separate, that's Nifridu Olav. Starting to separate, and it's kosher. That's the Tanakh held. Look at picture Yud Aleph. Rabbi Yehuda says, Yagdenu Momala. You should tie it on top. The Tanakh holds if it starts spreading, but it's a type of spread you could really push it back, even if you don't tie it. The fact that it could be put back up and close next to the spine, that's good enough. Yehuda says only if you tie it up. If you tie it up, the lulav has to be tied up. The shedra needs to be totally embraced by the leaves. It can't be split at all. That's the machlokes. Tanakh agrees to the idea that the leaves are supposed to be up against the shedra. The main thing is it possible? It's starting to spread a little bit, but can easily, if I went like this and pushed it, it would go back. If he just says, no, you have to tie it. It has to be up against the spine of the lulav, all the leaves. That is the machlokes. This lulav is a shtickle nefedu, yeah? You got a shtickle nefedu action. And if you would say, no, you got a denim mamala, right? That would be potentially nefedus here. Yeah. Yeah, I got. Then we passed nefedu discussion, so I think it would be good. But yeah, if you would say, you should tie it.
Yeah, you should tie it or you have to tie it.
If you holds, you have to. And the Tanakh says, as long as it's if you would tie it, it would go back to regular, even if you don't tie it.
It's not, like, why doesn't it say like you have to tie? Like, sorry.
Yagdenu Momala. It has to be tied on top. Yeah. It should be tied on top for it to be kosher. Yeah. So says the Gemara, Tanya, a brisa. We actually know this brisa because we spoke about it earlier. Reb Yehuda says, Mishum Reb Tarfon. Reb Yehuda says in the name of Reb Tarfon. It says in the pasuk, Kapais tomorrow. Okay, this is the famous pasuk when we talk about the Dalaminim. Take a look at the Torah Hashalim on your bottom right, letter Aleph. It says, you should take on the first day, pre-Eitz Hadar, a fruit that's beautiful from a tree, referring to the esrog. Then we have this funny thing called the Kapais Tamarim. The word Kapais Tamarim means, the way we've been understanding it till now, Kapais means a branch, Tamarim of a date tree, a date palm branch. Rabbi Yehuda said, in the Torah there's no nekudas, right? That's one of the interesting things about our Torah. There are no nekudas. So something, the way that it's written in the Torah, and then there's another way it's read and how we said, right? The Balkari has to know how to read it, but not necessarily how you read it. You could also darshan how it's written a certain way. So Rabbi Yehuda, going back to the Gemara, it says in the pasuk Kapais Tamarim that it should be a branch of a date palm, but Rabbi Yehuda says you could change the diktuk, the nekudas, and it could say kafus. I actually put in the kudas, I put a dot in the kaf, and by the vav I put a dot, kafus. Instead of kapais, you can read it kafus. And what does kafus mean? Tied up. The Torah is telling you that the date palm branch should be tied up. That's what the drush is. And he explains, what is that coming to tell you? Im haya parid, if it was starting to separate, yichbesenu, we should tie it up. This is Rabbi Yehuda Shita, this is where he knows it from. The Tanakhama also agrees to the idea of kafus. But he just holds it just has to be kafus. To be able to be kafus. Rabbi Yehuda says, you actually have to kafus it. You gotta get the leaves up against the shedra. Yagdenu momala im haya parid yichbesenu. You have to close it up.
He reads the whole pasuk different. He also says Hadar.
Yes, exactly. Rabbi Yehuda was also earlier. He's taking a whole different approach to this entire sugya. He was the one that said the pre-Eitz Hadar is not beautiful. It's Hadar Bilani Mishana Shana, and Kapis Tamarim holds. He learns it very stark. The Tanakhama also holds to kafus, but even more than mamish, you have to actually do it, and the leaves have to be nice and up and close and tied if you need to. Okay. Amar le Ravina le Ravashi says Ravina to Ravashi. Ravina Ravashi were from the later Amiran, very late, and they said, "Mimai dahai kapes tamarim dilulava." Who? It says in the Torah something very funny. Should take dalaminim. Nobody has any clue what these dalaminim are. Pre-Eitz Hadar, not clear. Kapes tamarim, not clear. What are these things? I told you the pshat, but it's not so clear in the Torah. So Ravina said to Ravashi, how do you know that this kapes tamarim is the lulav, a lulav? Who told you it's a lulav? Who? Ema charusa. Maybe it's the charusa. What's the difference between a lulav and a charusa? So we talked about this before. When you have a date palm tree, as the branches start to grow, they start growing like this. Very soft, and the leaves are very soft, and they bend right back into the shedra, to the spine. As the lulav continues to grow, this thing gets super hard. And the leaves also start spreading, like we saw in the pictures, super hard. So hard that even if you would try to put it back, it would still be a gap here. Like, you can't even maybe break the leaf. It just doesn't go back nicely like this. So who told you that it says branch of a date palm tree means the soft lulav that grows out like this? Maybe it's after it's grown many years, when it's nice and hard, and she is like the spread out ones that we saw in the pictures. A beautiful spread out tree, a lulav branch. Lulav means softer. Lulav really means like a shoot. Lulav like the growth, like a new growth. Choris means, like we say, the luches were choris, they were etched. Right? Luches choris. The luches were etched coming up the shuas. And you should be choris al libenu, etched in our hearts. Choris means like hard and tough. Who told you this is the lulav of the Torah? This is kapis a branch of a date palm. Should the branch be nice and soft like this? Or should the branch be already a couple of years in, when it's all spread out and hard? This is his question too. He knew this to be true. We're talking about later on Meron, but they said, where did they see this in the Torah? Where did Tanoim know it from? Where did my grandfather? Where did they know this from? So he said like this. I'll tell you why. Says an answer. Rav Ashi says to Ravina, Be'ina kafus veleka. It says kapos, and we could learn up the word as kafus. You need it to be something that you could tie up. Veleka, that you can't, right? Once it's chorus and super hard and spread out, it's not something that you can even put together back again. The leaves can never come back to the shedra. You need something that's possible. Only the lulav is the only thing that when it starts to grow a little bit soft, it stays up and close. Even if it spreads a little bit, you could tie it up together. Or to beauty, you have to tie it up together. But it's not something that's completely open and hard that can never be tied up together. That is what Rav Ashi said to Ravina. Okay, he tries again. Ve'ema ufsa. Maybe it's the ufsa of the tree. What's the ufsa? One of the things of the date palm tree is the trunk of the tree. Maybe you should cut off a piece of wood from the trunk, and that's the wood to use. Whoever told you, doesn't look nice? Who says? The trunk, a piece of the trunk? Maybe it looks nice. The ufsa, no? You don't think it looks nice? I'll take a look at page members. Page members.
Is it brought down anywhere that it has to be from a date tree in the first place?
It says tamarim. Tamarim means dates, so yeah.
How do you even have a hobby that's... Why even ask maybe it's a trunk? The Pasuk says it has to be the branch of a palm tree. Maybe it's the trunk.
Maybe the trunk of the tree. Who says kappa is...
It means they hold like Rav Yehuda, which means kappa means comfort.
Or maybe it's also as a part of the tree. I mean, you'll see a second. The Gemara is going to answer something like this. Just to show you the two things. On page, you know what? Take a look at page Mem Aleph first. Mem Aleph. Picture Mem Vav on the bottom left. That is charusa. Okay, if you take a look, there's a decal tree, a date tree. You see the ones that are starting to spread. Those are yeah, it's an interesting picture.
Here's a better picture.
Charis on page Lamed Daled. Yeah, we looked at that one last time. Page Mem, picture Lamed Daled. That's Charis. Okay, really spread out, tough and hard. That cannot be put together. I don't know what they have in picture Mem Vav really is so good. They're showing the green things. If you turn the page, you'll have on page Mem Beis is the Ufsa. The Ufsa is, you have a line, it's those hard tree, you see on the bottom, like from the trunk, I think more. It's like coming right out of the trunk, those green things, hard, tough green things there. Everyone see that? That's like more from the trunk coming out. It's like almost like wood-like. It's very, very tough. So maybe it's that. Whoever told you that's not the lulav. So just hold on to the pictures for a second. Jumping back to the Gemara. So ufsa, I wrote wood from the trunk, more like the trunk stuff. And the Gemara answers, similar answer. Kafus, the Torah says kafus, tied up. Nichlal di'ika parit. You could deduce that's possible to separate. V'hai kafus v'aimid la'ilam. There is no leaves at that time. There's come out no leaves. That's kafus v'aimid forever. It's standing and tied up forever like this. It means not tied. There's nothing to be tied up. It's such a piece of wood, such a hard piece of branch of a palm tree. There's nothing that could you be kafus on there. It's kafus v'aimid. There is nothing to be kafus. It's even according to the Tanakhama. Even according to Tanakhama. Because even according to Tanakhama, it has to be able to go back. The Yehuda says you actually have to tie it together. According to the Tanakhama, it's the ability to go back. It's the same idea. You don't have the ability to be kafus as lulav. This thing is kafus forever. There is no leaves come out. It's just a piece of trunk, a piece of hard trunk coming out of the tree. Okay, the Gemara tries again. Ve'ema kufra. Maybe it's the kufra part of the tree. Take a look at picture Memches on page Membeis. Kufra, he says, is like when it's starting to spread, like it's a little bit more than nifredu. It's spreading, but it's not mamash chorus. Okay, it's like in between, really hard, but not like a drop spread out. It's like just in between. Anyone see that? It's not like nifredu, all of a drop of a spread. It's like serious spread, but not too serious. So maybe it's when it's at that point in the tree. Who says it's when it's completely still stuck together? The more answers, Geshmak Eteretz. Amar Abaya says Abaya is a pasuk in Mishlei, very famous pasuk. Diracheha darchei noyam, v'chol nesivaseh shalom. Siv. It says in the Torah, it's written, Diracheha, the ways of the Torah are ways of pleasantness. Noyam means pleasant. V'chol nesivaseh, all its paths are shalom, are peace. When by davening, when you're putting back the Torah, don't just sing the song. Try to think about the ways of the Torah are pleasant, and all of its pathways are peaceful. We should do it in English, maybe. Right? Yeah, exactly. So, this is a rule of the Torah. It comes up everywhere in Shas, and it's something I think is very valuable. The Torah doesn't make things that are unpleasant. And if you find things in the Torah that are unpleasant, then it's not proper. What's unpleasant about the kufra? So they explain, at that point, when it's growing on the lulav, it's very thorny. I guess the way it sticks out, its projections, if you hold the lulav, it's going to hurt your hand. The way we have it, I don't know if you ever got this. If you touch this, it hurts a lot. Lulavim are very hard to manage. Everybody know? People are scared to love them. And if you take it out of the bag, especially those guys who just, like you really hurt somebody. No, I'm serious. There are stories of I get poked. If you by mistake, like you're putting on the rings and you go this way, right? So the way it sticks out at that point, they'll be pointing at your hand. It's just not pleasant. It's not pleasant, and that's not what the Torah meant. That's a little bit of a different thing. That's different. It means it's not for our benefit. It's not bodily benefit. It's for we serve Hashem and we get reward in the next world. What? Nifredu is okay. Nifredu is a drop of a spread. Chorus is like completely hard. No. Not too hard. Basically, not too hard, not too soft, not too.
These are softer actually.
Chorus is not as difficult to hold, but just not what they wanted. They want it to be the type that's basically a lulav. Is a shedra covered by leaves. That's all it is. That's all it is. This is what they want. Not this, not this, not the hard part of the trunk at some point. Like earlier on, the growth of a hard piece of trunk. That's not what they want. That's not what they want. By the way, this Abaya was way older than Rav Ashi and Ravina. So how's Abaya able to say here his answer? So some people change the gear, say Kidda Amar Abaya, like Abaya said. Because it's almost Shabbos, I'm just going to finish the Gemara with 2 lines. It's not a hard Gemara. Amar le Rabba Teisva. Says Rabba Teisva. I'm not going to talk about why that's his name, but maybe next time. Says Rabba Teisva to Ravina, one of the oldest Amoraim. Not oldest, latest. He's like almost not an Aimara. He said to Ravina, I have a different question. Ve'ema tarti kape de tamri. Maybe it's 2 clusters of dates. Tarti 2, kapes means a cluster also. The word kaf means a cluster. The tamri of dates. We're so into our date tree, and we're so into the branch of the date tree like this, maybe everyone got it wrong. Maybe it's the dates. Kiva, you're asking about dates and dates. Maybe Tag is the dates. Take a look at picture on page Membeis. Page Membeis, picture Memtes. Take a cluster, 2 clusters of dates. Kapais is plural. Take 2 clusters. Kapais can mean a branch, it can also mean a cluster. Take 2 clusters of dates. Beautiful. Imagine shaking a nice cluster of dates. Beautiful. Who said it means a branch of a date tree? The Gemara answers, no. Kapaskiv. Okay, the Torah is no nekudas. You could read kapais, kapas. I stuck in a patach and a patach under the cuff of the pay. You could read it kapas. Kapas means singular. It's only one. It can't be two clusters of dates because kapais can be read kapas, which means one cluster.
How do we read it?
We read it kapais, but it could be read in different ways. So the Gemara says, what? So it's one day machada. So okay, so take one cluster of days. Why is that a problem? No, lahu kaf karile. One cluster of dates is not called a kapas. It's called a kaf. A date palm tree, the branches are called kapaises, even one. The clusters of dates are called a kaf, not called a kapas or kapais. Therefore, we know this is the lulav. This is kapais tomorrow in the Torah, and there's not a cluster of dates.
What's the Havamina on the first question?
Because I mean, it was okay. So being one cluster, it just says kapas, so it means one. Kapas means one. No, because the way you say one for a cluster of dates is a kaf, not like kapas.
Why can't it mean two?
It can't mean two because the way you can read it is kapais plural. There's no vav there, so it could be read kapas, and kapas means one. But the way you call one cluster of dates is not kapas, it would be kaf. And to call one yulaka, one branch of the date would be kapas. In Grada says kapais, Grada says kapais, but without the vav, because we do learn it should be kafus or different things we learn out from it.